we are going to be continuing with Esperanza Rising.
Okay.
And remember, we're continuing in that same, let's see. Are we still in the onion chapter, or did we get to the almond? Are we in the almond chapter? I can't remember. Yeah, we're in the almond chapter. Okay, and remember, so I'm going to do what's like called a summary, which means go back and just kind of tell you, in my own words, what happened. It's just a real quick, I'm not going back and reading the whole thing. I'm not right. It's just a real quick, this is kind of what happened. That's a summary. Okay, what's it called?
A summary.
Excellent. Okay, or if somebody wants to help me with a summarize what happened the last time we read, that would be fine too. But maybe I could do this first one, and then you guys could help me with the next ones. Okay, so so far in the chapter we've read, remember they had bath day, and they hadn't had a bath day since they arrived, right? But remember they have no hot water. So they have to fill up the tub a little bit with cool water, and then they boil water and pour it in there to make it warm. And it was the first time that Esperanza had, not really had somebody help her, right? So she was used to Hortensia just doing it all for her, right? And but they did help each other. They helped, make sure each other had warm water. They helped, and all the ladies kind of bathed in one room, and all the men bathed in another room. What? For what?
This is for the library, so I'm bringing my milk. You need to give it to me.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a little while. Okay. Hey. Okay. All right. And then remember they were outside and they were peeling the almonds, right? And taking what we learned what the almond meat was called. That's the nut. The nut in the middle of the big almond shell is called the meat. And they were doing that, and she found out Josefina was going to make flan de almendra, which is almond flan, tonight. And Esperanza finally decided that it was worth having to see Martha and all those girls that had embarrassed her if she got to eat almond flan. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, the platform was lit up with big lights. Men from the camp in starched and pressed shirts and in cowboy hats sat in chairs, tuning their guitars and violins. Long rows of tables were covered in bright tablecloths where women sold tamales, desserts, and the specialty, agua de Jamaica, hibiscus flower water punch made with the red Mexican Amica bloom. There was a bingo on the wooden tables and a long line of chairs circling the dance area for those who wanted to watch. That's where Mama and Hortensia sat, talking to the other women. Esperanza stayed close to them, watching the growing crowd. Where do all the people come from? She asked. The other night, she'd heard Juan say about 200 people live in their camp, but there was many more than that now. These fiestas are popular. People come from other camps, said Josefina, and from Bakersfield, too. When the music started, everyone crowded around the platform, clapping and singing. People started dancing in the area around the stage. Children ran everywhere, chasing and hiding. Men held young boys on their shoulder, and women swaddled their infants, all of them swaying to the sound of the small band. After a while, Esperanza left Mama and the others and wandered through the noisy crowd, thinking of how strange it was that she could be in the middle of so many people and still feel so alone. She saw a group of girls who seemed about her age, but they were huddled together. More than anything, she wished Marisol were here. Isabel found her and pulled her hand. Esperanza, come see. Esperanza let herself be led through the crowd. Someone from town had brought a litter of kittens. A group of girls were crowded next to the cardboard box, cooing and cradling them. It was clear Isabel desperately wanted one. Esperanza whispered, I will go ask your mother. She rode back through the crowd to find Josefina, and when she agreed, Esperanza practically ran back to the spot to tell Isabel. But when she got there, a bigger crowd had gathered and something else was going on. Martha and some of her friends stood on the bed of the truck that was parked nearby, each of them holding up one of the tiny kittens. "This is what we are," she yelled, "small, meek animals. And this is how they treat us because we don't speak up. If we don't do what's right for ourselves, we'll never get it. Is this how we want to live?" She held the kitten by the back of its neck, waving it high through the air. It hung limp in front of the crowd. "With no decent home, at the mercy of those bigger than us, richer than us?" Isabel trembled, her eyes in panic. Will she drop it? A man called out, "Maybe all the cat wants to do is feed its family. Maybe it doesn't care what all the other cats are doing." "Senor, does it not bother you that some of your compadres live better than others?" yelled one of Martha's friends. "We are going to strike in 2 weeks at the peak of the cotton for higher wages and better housing." "We don't pick cotton on this farm," yelled another man from their camp. "What does it matter?" yelled Martha. "If we all stop working, if all the Mexicans are juntos together," she made a fist and held it in the air, or juntos together, "and then maybe it will help us all." He yelled back, "There's a chance we cannot take. We just want to work. That's why we came here. Get out of our camp." A cheer rose up from him. People started shoving, and Esperanza grabbed Isabel's hand and pulled her aside. A young man jumped into the truck and started the engine. Martha and the others tossed the kittens into the field. Then they pulled up some of their supporters into the back of the truck, with them raising their arms, chanting, "Huegla, huegla, strike, strike." "Why is she so angry?" asked Esperanza as she walked back to the cabin a few hours later with Josefina, Isabel, and the babies, leaving the others to stay later. Isabel carried the soft, mewing orange kitten in her arms. "She and her mother move around to find work, sometimes all over the state," said Josefina. "They work whenever there's something to be harvested." "These camps, the migrant camps, are the worst. Like when we were in El Centro," said Isabel. "Worse," said Josefina. "Our camp is a company camp, and people who work here don't leave. Some live here for many years. That's why we came to this country, to work, to take care of our family, to become citizens." Luis, stop. "We are lucky because our camp is better than most. There are many of us who don't want to get involved in the strike because we cannot afford to lose our jobs. And we are accustomed to how things are in our little community." "They want to strike for better houses," asked Esperanza. "That and more money for those who pick cotton," said Josefina. "They only get 7 cents a pound for picking cotton. They want 10 cents a pound. Seems like such a small price to pay, but in the past, the growers said no. And now more people are coming to the valley to look for work, especially from places like Oklahoma, where there is little work, little rain, and little hope. If the Mexicans strike, the big farm will simply hire others. What would we do?" Esperanza wondered what would happen if Mama did not have a job. Would they have to go back to Mexico? Josefina put the babies to bed. Then she kissed Isabel and Esperanza on their foreheads and sent them next door. Isabel and Esperanza lay in their beds, listening to the music and the bursts of laughter in the background. The kitten, after drinking a bowl of milk, curled up in Isabel's arms. Esperanza tried to imagine conditions that were more shabby than this room that was covered in newspaper to keep out the wind. Could things possibly be worse? What, Luis?
What is like that part where it says like
Oklahoma?
This.
Oklahoma is a state in the United States. And I think this is kind of during the Dust Bowl. Amy?
It's in your
Then go. And like the Great Depression, where people were having a hard time finding jobs, and in Oklahoma, like they were having a major drought and other problems. So people from Oklahoma were going west trying to find jobs.
Wow.
And so these guys are saying, well, there's plenty more where they came from, right? There's plenty more people who can come and take our jobs if we refuse to work. So Sleepy Isabel said, "Did you have parties in Mexico?" "Yes," whispered Esperanza, keeping her promise to tell Isabel about her old life. "Big parties. Once my mama hosted a party for 100 people. The table was set with lace tablecloths, crystal china, and silver candelabras. The servants cooked for a week." Esperanza continued, reliving the extravagant moments, but was relieved when she knew that Isabel was asleep. For some reason, after hearing about Marta and her family, she felt guilty talking about the richness of her life in Aguascalientes. Esperanza was still awake when Mama came to bed later. A stream of light from the other room allowed just enough brightness for her to watch Mama unbraid her hair and brush it out. "Did you like the party?" Mama whispered. "I miss my friends," said Esperanza. "I know it is hard. Do you know what I miss? I miss my dresses." "Mama," Esperanza said, laughing that Mama would admit such a thing. "Shh," said Mama. "You'll wake Isabel." "I miss my dresses too, but we don't seem to need them here." "That is true. Esperanza, do you know that I am so proud of you for all that you are learning?" Esperanza snuggled close to her. Mama continued, "Tomorrow we are going to a church in Bakersfield. After church, we are going to una tienda called Cholitas. Josefina says she sells every type of sweet roll and Mexican candies." They were quiet, listening to Isabel's breathing. "In church, what will you pray for, Esperanza?" asked Mama. Esperanza smiled. She and Mama had done this many times before they went to sleep. "I will light a candle for Papa's memory," she said. "I will pray that Miguel will find a job at the railroad. I will ask Our Lady to help me take care of Lupe and Pepe while Isabel is at school. And I pray for some white coconut candy with a red stripe on top." Mama laughed softly. "But most of all, I will pray that Abuelita will get well and that she will be able to get her money from Tio Luis's bank and that she will come soon." Mama stroked Esperanza's hair. "What will you pray for, Mama?" "I will pray for all the things you said, Esperanza, and for one more thing beside." "What's that?" Mama hugged her. "I will pray for you, Esperanza, that you can be strong no matter what happens." That is the end of that chapter. And so